Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and you're watching The Brown Feminist. So in today's episode, I want to tell you guys about 10 different ways that you can make more money with your skills as a clinical research associate, coordinator, or any field within clinical research. So without further ado, let's get into it. So a lot of clinical research positions are contract. And that means whenever it's time for your contract to be up and a new contract to be renewed, it is an excellent opportunity for you to negotiate your contract. So number one is renegotiate your contract and your rate of pay. Tell them that, guess what, I've been a part of this team for this many years, I have this much experience, and I think now that we're in such a critical part of the project, I obviously want to keep taking it forward. I already know how everything works, but I think it's time for a pay raise. I really think we can go up a few dollars an hour, or maybe ask for some extra benefits or bonuses. So the time around the contract negotiation is as tricky for them as it is for you. Because while we might think that, oh my God, what if they don't renew me? They also really want people who already know how things work and won't need to go through a complex hiring process and training process to get someone new. So kind of gauge where you stand in the team and how valuable you are to them, and then pitch your kind of demand of salary increase during your contract negotiation. Number two is to apply for a different position within the same team or organization. Now, a lot of the time, internally getting hired in a different position in the team or within like another kind of clinical research team within the same research institute, it can be quite easy. You might be able to be considered as a internal applicant and not have to deal with being compared to a lot of like external applicants, because you can apply through the internal job portal and have internal references, and they usually are more likely to go through internal candidates as long as you meet the skill sets a little bit more favorably, and you might make it more easily to the interview process than someone else who has applied into a pool of like say 300, 400 applicants in the external job portal, and they have to be screened and they have to be considered. So applying to a different team within the same institute or the same team as well, you might find roles that are better paying as it is. So maybe your current title is a little bit more junior and you're ready to take on some more responsibility and get some more pay, and you find out, guess what, a trial manager position just opened up or a coordinator position just opened up, and you kind of know how things work already. You've been with the team for a while. It's an excellent time and an excellent way to actually apply for that and pitch yourself for that role, and therefore get a pay bump, because that new title comes with its own kind of salary scale, which is higher than yours. Now, number three is to actually realize that maybe there isn't an opportunity within the same institute. Maybe they're smaller. There's not a lot of vacancies, which is fine. And it might be time, after waiting several years, if you feel like you have everything that you wanted to get out of this job or get out of this project or institute, and you want to explore further. So number three is to kind of apply to roles outside the organization. You might find other like CROs or hospital research institutes which have better salary scales in the same position, or we just have more different positions, right? Maybe your team doesn't have like a clinical data manager position. Maybe your team doesn't have a research nurse position. It only has like a research assistant and a PI. Maybe that's just how it is structurally. In that case, it's exciting to kind of open the doors and just go and apply and see where you stand and what kind of offers you get if you're applying to places outside your immediate like institute, in like other research organizations, or even like if you're in academia and you can think about like moving on to like industry and like pharma sponsored companies and CROs, and so many other opportunities for clinical researchers. So number four is to apply for a professional title. Now, there are professional titles that researchers can get, like yourself. If you've been in the field for long enough, you usually need at least 1 to 2 years of full-time work experience or an equivalent number of hours in part-time work experience. And then you might be able to sit for exams such as the CRP, the Clinical Research Professional exam, such as the one organized by SOCRA. And these are very prestigious professional exams. If you want to learn more about them, I will link them down below. I have a whole video about like how it works and what it is and why I am personally taking this exam. But yeah, so doing these things would like add value to your resume, and then when you're pitching yourself to your own supervisor or someone in an external job that you're applying to, your ability to ask for more payment will go up. Because at that point, you won't just be a clinical research associate, you'll be a SOCRA certified CRP. You're a clinical research professional. You've been certified by a very prestigious body. So obviously these are more sought after people. You are now among people kind of who are more desired as a candidate when you're interviewing. A lot of jobs in clinical research you will see actually ask for like SOCRA certification of CRP is desired. It's usually not mandatory, but it is something they might like pick you over another candidate, or they might actually like give you more money because they will find that you are more qualified. The next one is to actually get a licensure. So if you've maybe done like an RPN program prior to this, or you've done like an RN or something like that, or you have a health science bachelor's, but you want to go back and do a little bit more schooling, doing schooling that will give you an additional license to do more clinical work can give you a pay bump. So for example, if you had some health science background, but you want to like go back to school for nursing and get an RN license or a nurse practitioner's license and then do clinical research, then yes, of course, you will be able to do so much more with your patients that the opportunity of jobs will increase, and therefore the pay scale will also increase. As someone who's from both like a nursing and a research background, I have had jobs before I got my license, and so they were like the normal research job, and then they were like, okay, once you get your license, we can like pay you this much more, because then you can do the follow-ups of your patients, and we won't have to keep hiring a nurse externally to come in and do the IVs and do the assessments and do the follow-ups. So that license will add additional value to maybe your current job, or if your current job doesn't really require clinical skills, there's other jobs out there which will pay you more for being a licensed nurse. Now the next option is if you want to go back to school after 4 or 5 years of clinical research experience, because you were done being a trial coordinator or project manager, and now you want to come back as a PI. Maybe you've done your bachelor's, but it's time to get your master's and your PhD. Maybe you had some grad school experience, but getting that PhD can really like help you, or getting even the nurse practitioner's degree can really help you go and find positions as a PI. So that's like the ultimate step in clinical research, where you can decide what kind of clinical research you want to do and run and have like your own team. So that is definitely another opportunity for a much larger pay bump, but it's also a much larger investment in time and effort. Going back to school for 2 years or 5 years is no easy feat. You will be earning less during the time, and it is a lot of studying and a lot of like stress. So it is something to really think about after you've been in this role for a while. Like, hey, is that something I want to do? Do I want to become a PI? Do I want to go get a PhD or a nurse practitioner's license? Is that something I'm interested in? Or, you know, so this is definitely something to consider, and the pay bump will be significant. Now, another thing we really forget is sometimes you just have to ask for things. So for example, if you feel like you're applying for coordinator positions in your team and you're not being considered because your managers don't think you're just ready yet, then the next time an opportunity comes around, ask them if I can get some leadership training. See if there's any workshops going up at the hospital regarding leadership in trials or leadership in healthcare. Enroll in those workshops. Ask your boss if you can shadow the coordinator sometimes, because you want to build some experience on not just running the trial, but also like managing staff and managing students who are working on that research project. And just like express your interest over and over again over a year or two about like how I really want to be a project trial manager in the long run, and I would really like the opportunity to get some leadership experience. Also keep your eye out if the hospital you work in or other organizations in the city might be offering like some workshops and training for people in your exact position who need not like general leadership training, because I don't think that's super helpful, but like specific leadership training that is geared towards like clinical research and like management within a healthcare setting and like things like that, like management and leadership skills. Another option that you have is to actually take on some side hustles. Maybe you are doing your work and you're full-time, but your job is pretty flexible. There's no immediate need to change your job. You're enjoying, you're learning from it, but the project is going at like a medium pace, and you do have a good work-life balance, so you have your evenings free to yourself and your weekends. In that case, there's a number of side hustles that you can actually take on as a clinical researcher. I have a full video on that I'm gonna link here and down below in the description. Take a look at it and and see if any of those very well-paying side hustles can be beneficial for you. And maybe in that way, you'll have your day job and then you'll have a good stream of income from your side hustle. The next one is bonuses. Now, not every project offers this, but the project, for example, where I'm currently working, there is an add-on bonus on top of my salary if I take on certain additional responsibilities. For example, if I am willing to stay on call 24/7 for a given number of days in the month, because we have like patients coming in at like any time of the day or night, and like they might need to be recruited on the spot because they're coming in for some kind of an emergency procedure, there is a kind of bonus that you can get for that. Having said that, it is good to kind of explore around and like see if there are opportunities for taking on additional roles or responsibilities, or maybe you have somebody going on mat leave and you can take on some of their workload in return for like a higher salary or an added work bonus. It's definitely something worth exploring with your team. Now, there is another way of making some extra money, and that is by actually helping your team generate more revenue to go around. A lot of the times that we see the PIs of clinical research projects have multiple responsibilities and conflicting interests. There may be either teaching or they're clinicians, and on the side, they have like this clinical research project running. In those cases, they don't have a lot of grant funding coming in to give you a salary bump that maybe even they know that you deserve. In those cases, it's really worth having a conversation with them that maybe if you do some extra work as a grant writer and the team gets like a good amount of grant funding and you can have like a new project or, you know, more extension to like the current project that you're doing, in those cases, is it going to be possible to like give you the pay raise that you deserve? And that's definitely a conversation worth having. Like, hey, if our team did have more grant funding, would things be different? I do have some additional skills in grant writing, or I have like an additional opportunity to maybe apply for like this scholarship and go attend a conference and talk about our clinical research. Would you support me in this? And a lot of the times the PIs will say, yes, let's see, if we get this grant, then I can keep you on contract for this many numbers of years and pay you like a slightly better amount on within our pay range and pay scale. If you want to go to these conferences and present our research data as part of my research team, you should be able to do that, as long as you can like manage your funding through like scholarships and other like paid opportunities. So definitely have a conversation that if your PI recognizes that you need to be paid more but they're not being able to, then why is that? Is it because of grant funding? And in that case, is there something that you can do to help towards that team? Do you have skills to support grant funding and grant writing, or have you heard of new grants that might be very relevant to your team, and bringing them there? Generating overall like a better cash flow for the whole team and the whole project can benefit everybody, but it can also show that PI that you have a particular skill set that's unique to grant writing or unique to this team, and therefore you might deserve a raise in when your next contract is being negotiated. So that's it. That was it for the 10 ideas of how you can get paid more in your role in clinical research. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have other questions or feedback, please do let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you want to keep seeing more videos like this, do not forget to hit subscribe, please. Okay, that's it for today. This was The Brown Feminist. Bye.